Well, thank you. And when we go and I have the opportunity to do these press conferences, and I've been told a number of times by Brian that if you say you're excited, then act excited. But I really am excited to get this thing going, and certainly tomorrow starts it. And proud of the way that the kids worked this summer, and I've enjoyed continuing to get to know this team. And kind of as I think about our team right now, much like probably every team in America, you've got different tiers or categories of guys. And, you know, right now, I think we've got a group of players that have played a lot of football and started and won a lot of games. You know, and I think of Mike Caputo and, you know, Darius Hillary, Sojourn's coming back. You got Shobes and Vince that have played a lot of football there. You know, offensively, you know, Tyler's played a lot of football, and Joel has played a lot of games and won, and Alex has been a part of that. And then you've got another group that even a guy like Corry that's played a lot of football, but Corry's entering into a new role. And, you know, we've got some of these older guys that have been around the program, and it's Rob Wheelwright and Reggie Love. You know, can they, for whatever reason, maybe haven't contributed, you know, whether it's depth or they weren't ready yet, but that's the group, I think, if they can jump in and elevate their game. You know, at tight end, you know, you lose Sam Arneson, so now it's Austin's turn. Foome's played a role, but his role is going to change, you know, and defensively, you know, Arthur Goldberg, Leon Jacobs, you know, there's a group of guys like that they've either entered in a new role or their role is going to expand. And I think that can push your team to another level. And then you've got a group of young guys that I'm anxious to find out who they are and what they can do and what their role can be. And that to me is the fun part of fall camp, is finding out your team. And we know the guys. In the past, the one thing I've always been impressed with, particularly here, the group of guys that there are guys that will get better, have gotten better this summer, and I'm anxious to see who those guys are. And you know, we've got a bunch of players come together and form the team that we're going to be. And training camp is kind of the last phase before the season gets going, and but couldn't be more excited to start practice tomorrow.
We've got microphones on each side. Jason.
Hi, Paul. Can you talk about the decision to move TJ to outside linebacker and Dakota back to safety, and do you see any other position changes that could happen from the spring to now?
Don't foresee any changes right now where we're coming in and saying this is going to happen. You know, TJ is a guy that I think I don't know totally who he is. You know, he got hurt in the spring, so was limited. But I think he's a football player, and just in trying to maybe give him the best spot. And I don't know if it's a final move yet for him, but it gave him a chance while he was recovering to get a feel for that position. And I think he's a guy that can add value to our team, and maybe on the defense side of the ball might be the best way for it. And then, you know, Dakota, same thing, you know, didn't play in the spring, but kind of looking at where we were at as a team, I think every position move, it's got to be right for the individual and best for your team. And I think those ones seem like they are, and I'm anxious to find out. I know they're both excited about it. And you know, I would think through the course of camp, there'll be one or two. I don't know what they are, but I think it's our job to make sure we're using each player, you know, that's good for him. It's got to be right for the player, but also what's best for this team.
Jim.
Paul, can you take us through the process of Kellen Jones ending up here, and how much does that help in terms of depth on the inside?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we're excited to have Kellen here, and as we went through, I remember it was in July, and Tim Tibesar had been involved with Kellen before he went to Clemson, and so Tim kind of knew about him, and I had a chance to speak with Dabo and to find out about Kellen, and then it was just seeing. We had him up for a visit, and one of the guys around him, I think, like all transfer situations, that it's really important that it's right for the individual. He's got a limited window and can be right for our team. And want our team, as many guys as we could be around him. They liked, felt good with him, and Kellen felt good. And so I'm excited to, just what you said, I think, Jim, that he does give us a chance to have some depth, and maybe, if nothing else, maybe keeps from a freshman having to play maybe a day earlier than he should. And so, like a lot of these guys, you want to find out who they are and what they are. But guys are excited, and we're certainly excited to have them. But that's kind of, it's just about a 3-4 week process. Okay, we're good.
Hi, Coach. Is Tanner McEvoy still going to be playing kind of a hybrid role between safety and receiver, or is he kind of leaning one way or the other now?
He's going to do both. And I think one thing that he had a lot of spring at the safety position, and that was certainly a place where he had some comfort in. And we're going to start in the spring or in the fall here camp more at the receiver spot. Let him get a feel for that, get comfortable, and yet he'll be. Our plan is to use him both ways.
Gennaro in the back.
Coach, Joel comes into this camp with a lot more certainty about where he stands. How much of a difference can that make for a guy who had to deal with uncertainty going the last two camps?
I think, I can't speak for Joel on that, but everything. I think he's earned that right, and I'm excited with what he's done this summer. I think that Joel's in a really good spot. I like he's got an edge to him. I think he's got some tangible areas that he knows he can work on to get better, and I think he's confident going in and anxious to get to work. He was the first player I saw this morning, and I would think that it would be good for him, but I think he's earned everything that he's gotten to this point, and Joel's like all of our seniors. They need to have their best year, and for us to be as good a team as we can. And I think he's to this point he's done everything we've asked him to do, and now we've got fall camp, and he's still got more opportunities to get better. But I like where he's at, certainly.
Jeff.
Oh, you've always talked about the importance of adding state kids, whether it's a walk-on or scholarship. We've got a couple of kids who appear to be transferring in. One, Ramchick from Stevens Point, and one, it looks like Finko from Whitewater.
Right.
Are those examples of kids that maybe if they didn't get a look early, you would ask them to have walked on before, and how'd that process get started with those two guys?
Both those two specifically, and I think all those that when you're talking about transfers, they're going to reach out to us first. Wouldn't want to be going and trying to scour the rosters and see who would come, but they reached out, and we knew enough about them that if that was what was best for them, academically and come to school here, we certainly wanted them to be on this team. And so we're excited about those two players, but different though than the high school kid where you're actively recruiting them. I think here you respond to something, more than going out and recruiting it.
Rob.
The success of the offense over the years obviously seems to have been built on the offensive line. How confident are you in what you have, considering you only have 2 starters back from a year ago?
That to me is one of those areas that kind of what I was talking about when I first opened up, you know, Ray Ball, Walker Williams, been in the program for a number of years. Ray's played, I think a little bit more than Walker. Can they elevate? And a lot of it's being consistent. You know, I think they've shown, I think both care a ton. I mean, I love that part of it. They work, and then, you know, there's going to be a group of young guys that need to step in. Right now, today, couldn't tell you who the starting five are. You know, that was one of the things, I think, that spring ball, we were able to identify the pool of who the offensive linemen could be, but we didn't solidify who the starting five were. And that's going to be one of the things that we've got to solidify in fall camp.
Jesse?
You got to turn the mic on. You were just talking a bit ago about some of the in-state kids who are coming in as walk-ons, and just hoping to get your perspective. Do you think there's something unique about the walk-on program here and your experience having been here relative to other programs? Is that something like that?
Every place I've been, not that I've been at 1,000 or anything, but we've had walk-ons that have contributed, and yet I don't know if it's because I've been here longest or know this place, the history of this place better than any school. It sure seems like it's special and unique with the walk-on program. And all it is, you know, we know that there's guys that we're not 100% right in the whole recruiting process. There's guys that get overlooked, and I think it is a place so that where guys come and see that they are treated fairly, they will be given opportunity, and I think that helps us. And so I think anytime you've got a good program, that those, you know, when you've got it going, you know, when we had the depth at positions, that's when the program was healthy. You know, the next guys step in, and you look back and you say, boy, that whole roster, you know, was playing after college. And I think the same thing with the walk-on program, that you go and you look and you can name the walk-ons that have been contributors, have been significant starters, been all-stars, you know, all-Americans here. And so I think there is something truly special here with the walk-on program, because it's been proven.
Jeff?
Paul, back to one of the O-linemen for a bit. It looks like Mormon is not listed on the camp roster, and I saw the picture of him with the boot and the scooter. Do you know how long he's going to be out, and it's likely he's headed for redshirt then because of the injury?
Most likely, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks, and so he can come and he can be here, get treatments and all that, and there's a number of guys that were in the spring, not a number, but you know, Hemer, Aiden McNamara, that aren't completely healthy cleared for practice, and so we want to go with the 105 that you get to bring to camp. We want to make sure they're all healthy bodies.
Andy, in the back?
Paul, could you compare, I know they're different people, different times, but could you compare the process by which Kellen came here and the process by which Russell came here? Were there parallels that really mattered to this team and to you when they came through?
Yeah, I think the parallels are trying to, in a short period of time, trying to make sure that it's the right fit, both individually, you know, for Kellen, Russell at the time, and for our team. I think so. Those are parallels. You know, I think that's what helped. I think it's, you know, in going back, that was one of the things that I know impacted Russell's decision and our players accepting Russell was the visits, the interaction they had before it was a done deal. And so I think we tried to, I thought that was a good thing, and that we could take away from that. Certainly the individual and the storyline, different, right? You know, but it's, but I think there were some parallels that you try to draw on, and that was, to me, most importantly, making sure that there was opportunity, because it wouldn't have done Kellen any good if there wasn't opportunity, and at the same time making sure that our guys on the current roster felt like Kellen was a good fit.
Rob.
By those who are paid to make such predictions, a lot of people like your team to win the West and be in the Big Ten championship game, though nobody seems to be picking anybody other than Ohio State to win the conference. So are you a favorite or an underdog, and does it matter to you going into the season?
Doesn't matter a bit. And, you know, our goal, you know, my intentions is to every day work to make sure we become the best team we can be. And, you know, that's why you play the games, and you earn the right for whatever you get. And that's the exciting part, is working with these guys and maximizing their individual abilities, and our team, you know, trying to maximize who we are and who we become as a team. And all the other stuff doesn't really mean anything.
Paul, the flip side of that is a lot of the power is in the East this year with Ohio State and Michigan State. No big secret there.
Right.
Do you see this year maybe as an opportunity, maybe a special opportunity that you could capitalize on because those teams are not on your schedule?
You know, personally, I focus just on what matters most, and that's who's on our schedule this year. And I feel, and told the kids this, and told our staff this, you know, there's not a team on the schedule that we couldn't beat, and there's not a team on the schedule that we couldn't lose to. And that's the great challenge and opportunities every week. You get to go play the game, and all the other things are probably, I guess, things that you guys got to pay attention to and go. But right now, it's you want to maximize every opportunity you get, and we've got 12, and we hope to earn the right to play more.
Paul, what did you see from T.J. Edwards in the spring? And where's your comfort level at with him stepping in there?
I thought T.J. finished the spring, was gaining confidence. I think it carried over. You know, that was one that I know Ross and guys in the weight room talked about, and we got to be with him more. You know, so I think, you know, he certainly wasn't perfect in the spring, but I think he did some things where it got him some confidence, and he took that confidence and put it into his summer preparation. And so I'm excited to see him tomorrow really going forward, because I think that's a lot of it's what we got to do as coaches, is how do you give a kid confidence, and then that confidence builds them up a little bit. It makes them see something that's a little bit more, maybe it's more attainable. They become better, and that's how you keep trying to grow. So I think TJ is kind of in that group where he put the work in, he had opportunity, took advantage of it, that gave him some confidence, and he needs to keep building on that.
Andy?
Paul, there was a little bit of a debate when you were in Chicago about whether your program's an iPhone or a flip phone. Was that a teaching moment, and if so, what was the lesson for your players?
Brian just taught about that today. Absolutely, it was teaching. And you know, the point that I thought was accurate that Brian made is that there's a whole context, but how you can take part of what you say, and that certainly isn't what you know. In talking to Corry, you know, he was not trying to be disrespectful in any way, but it's a good illustration of what you say, and it's not always going to be the whole context, because just what you said in the question was, there's a statement in that, and it's not, I don't think, what Corry meant totally, but they're all teachable moments.
Paul, this group of kids, especially the upperclassmen, have been through a lot of coaching change, position coaches, coordinators, head coaches. How has this group handled
it? You know, I hesitate only because I don't know. As you get to know them, you only know what you see right now. And I think, Tom, in your question is the position coaches and it's more than just a head coach change. And I think the amount of time you spend with your position coach, the amount of time you spend in the weight room, you know, there are a lot of changes. And I think that there was some relief at some positions because some of those older kids who were affected mostly by the change had some familiarity with myself, Rudy, Set, you know, Ross was around, you know, so it's a little bit, but I don't know, that's a real thing, and none of them would have scripted going through the change that they did. I think that I've appreciated the way they've allowed us back in. You know, I think that looking back, I feel fortunate to have gone through this as a player myself, and with the last team that I joined, and yet at each individual, I think the first thing when there's change is, how does this affect me? Is this a good thing? Some it's a good thing, some they're nervous because they liked what they had. And I think you got to just acknowledge it and be straight with them all. And I think that's maybe helped in the transition. But there is a transition. They still don't know what fall camp's going to be like. You know, they think they know. There's rumors going around. You know what I mean? All that, and we try to address it with them. But I think they're getting the idea that it's a great time of the year. It's the most fun they'll ever have.
Jeff.
Paul, you've
run a quest. Quest for fun.
You've got, including yourself, some coaches who played here. You've got some grad assistants, some of them who have played here. And I'm specifically about the grad assistants. I'm curious. I'm sure you didn't just add them because of their ties to the program, but in addition to what you think they can add because of what's between the ears, what can their ties to the program help as an intangible, you know, in giving to this program?
I think that with that group specifically, they've been in these players' shoes, and good coaching is helping your players, helping them grow. And I think they've got enough separation from when they played that they kind of have a clear perspective on it. I'm excited for our players to get to know them, and it started. And you know, I think Ethan probably played and Antonio played the closest with some of these guys. But even there's some separation. But all, I think, can bring a unique perspective. I think even just last week we were talking about some of the things just as a staff, and when they spoke, I think a lot of our coaches, I was really interested to hear what Billy said, what Ethan said, because you think as a coach maybe one thing, but is it real? Is it taken that way by the players, or what's their perspective? So I feel really fortunate to have that group of guys, and I think, you know, last year, you know, some of those same guys said the same things, and I thought it would applied. Here it's probably another couple layers is what it gives you, but you value their opinion wherever you're at. But I think it's got a little bit more here, because I think they can talk about so many more of the layers that our guys deal with. And it's good for us. Maybe they don't even share it with the players, all of it, but they do share it with the coaches, and feel really fortunate to have that group of guys. You had to work for that one. Did you forget?
Yeah, I think I remember what I'm going to ask you. How much of a head start does it give your defense when you are able to retain a guy like Dave Aranda and keep the same system on that side of the ball?
Certainly I think there's a comfort level for a lot of the guys. And yet one of the qualities that I appreciate about Dave is that he's going to try to read and tailor it to this group. And there have been changes on defense. And so there's still going to be some new learning for guys. And some of it's because guys are in different roles. Some of it's because there's a new person in that. But I think it has helped. And especially where I think we got some of our older players. You know, we've got some guys on the defense side of the ball that I'm glad that Vince and Shobes aren't going through as much new learning. You know, they can focus on getting better and not just learning the playbook.
Got time for one or two more for Coach. Rob?
On the other side of the ball, they talk about sometimes the quarterback being an extension of the coach. Is it the same with an offensive coordinator in your situation? What is it that Coach Rudolph brings to the table that best aligns with your line of thinking and coaching?
Certainly, Joe and I are we've shared a lot of years together, and I think that believe in a lot of the same core principles approach, and yet I think that we complement each other, and so that's why I've always enjoyed working with Joe and getting his perspective. And I'm excited for this group individually for the offensive line, but I think for this team, you know, to get a feel for. And Joe's got tremendous passion for the game and for this place. And but I think that, you know, on some of the big core stuff, you know, we see it eye to eye, and then you know, he challenges me in a way that I appreciate, and I think I give him enough headaches that he deals with me.
Gennaro?
Paul, how do you like where Corry is physically coming into camp, given the increased role he'll be playing? And then ideally, what's the ideal workload for him during the camp?
I like the work that he's done this summer, and I think that he was able to, we talked about this, you know, he was smart enough to take note of what the guys ahead of him were doing, you know, and that's a great gift that, you know, players can give to each other. And I think, you know, he was smart enough to see it, but James and Melvin helped to show him the way. And the load, it's all projection right now. You know, he doesn't know. I don't know, because he hasn't been in that. But I think that he knows what's coming, and he's embracing it, and he's excited about that role. But I couldn't tell you right now, you know, what if he's a guy that you got to say this is a X number of carries a game or a half or what it is, and that's where we just got to. He may have an idea, but he doesn't know. And so I think we just got, that's one of those things you work through.